President Donald Trump shakes hands with supporters upon arrival at the Orlando Sanford International Airport, Monday, March 9, 2020 in Orlando, Florida. AP photo/Alex Brandon. Huge numbers of Americans will be dead, have permanent health issues, and/or be economically immiserated because the Trump administration's only significant COVID-19 focus was passing the buck and hoping things would go away. Seated around Mr. Meadows' conference table and on a couch in his office down the hall from the Oval Office, they saw their immediate role as practical problem solvers. Produce more ventilators. Find more personal protective equipment, provide more testing. But their ultimate goal was to shift responsibility for leading the fight against the pandemic from the White House to the states. They referred to this as state authority handoff, and it was at the heart of what would become at once a catastrophic policy blunder and an attempt to escape blame for a crisis that had engulfed the country, perhaps one of the greatest failures of presidential leadership in generations. Over a critical period beginning in mid-April, President Trump and his team convinced themselves that the outbreak was fading, that they had given state governments all the resources they needed to contain its remaining embers, and that it was time to ease up on the lockdown. Nobody associated with the Trump administration comes off well, but some come off even worse than you'd expect. You might think that Debo Brooks was being sunny in public so she could pass on real information in private, but, no, for scientific affirmation, they turned to drive Deborah L. Burr, the sole public health professional in the Meadows Group. A highly regarded infectious diseases expert, she was a constant source of upbeat news for the president and his aides, walking the halls with charts emphasizing that outbreaks were gradually easing. The country, she insisted, was likely to resemble Italy, where virus cases declined steadily from frightening heights. On April 11, she told the Coronavirus Task Force in the Situation Room that the nation was in good shape. Boston and Chicago are 2 weeks away from the peak, she cautioned, but the numbers in Detroit and other hard-hit cities are heading down. A sharp pivot soon followed, with consequences that continue to plague the country today as the virus surges anew. Even as a chorus of state officials and health experts warned that the pandemic was far from under control, Mr. Trump went, in a matter of days, from proclaiming that he alone had the authority to decide when the economy would reopen to pushing that responsibility onto the states. The government issued detailed reopening guidelines, but almost immediately, Mr. Trump began criticizing Democratic governors who did not liberate their states. Mr. Trump's bet that the crisis would fade away proved wrong. An examination of the shift in April and its aftermath shows that the approach he embraced was not just a misjudgment. Instead, it was a deliberate strategy that he would stick doggedly to, as evidence mounted that, in the absence of strong leadership from the White House, the virus would continue to infect and kill large numbers of Americans. The whole thing is worth reading, and the fact that this completely clear-eyed and fierce assessment of Trump's total nihilistic failure to respond to a historic crisis is coming from the elite names at the Times' political desk makes it pretty clear he's not going to emails his way out of this one. Mass death and economic depression do tend to concentrate the mind. Let's block ads. Why?
Show your love for him. Click the link in description. Thanks for watching.